up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Legends. This week I have the honor and the pleasure to highlight one of my favorite quarterbacks from the 1980s and the 1990s. I'm talking about no other than the dual threat of Mr. Randall Cunningham. Randall was that quarterback that every kid wanted to be like, particularly me. I was someone that always spent a lot of my times outside playing football from light post to light post. Randall was that guy that had the deep threat ability that could throw the football, seems like over half the length of the field, to being elusive. If you had a nickel or five-man box the defense would present on long yardage situations, he would definitely put your linebackers in a bind because he was just that elusive and that fast. Track speed kind of speed. Randall's unique talent will put him in a special place in the National Football League. His athletic ability allowed for him to throw for career passing yards, rushing touchdowns, and yes, punting average. But before we get to what he was able to do in his NFL career, let's talk about his early start. Randall hails from Santa Barbara, California, where his athletic ability will make him a standout. Track, particularly in the high jump, world-class sprinter, and yes, a heck of a quarterback. Those talents will lead him to earning a scholarship at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, better known to you as UNLV. While at UNLV, Randall will go on to be a two-time All-American quarterback and punter as well. And while there on campus, he would knock out 18 of the school's records, which still stand to this day, many of them. And as a senior, Randall Cunningham will go on to lead the Rebels to their first 10-game-plus winning season at 11-2, as well as be named MVP to the Rebels' first bowl game, California Bowl. In 1985, the NFL would come knocking. Randall Cunningham would find himself being the first quarterback off the board, but it would happen in the second round and the 37th pick overall to the Philadelphia Eagles. But in 1986, the Philadelphia Eagles would find themselves a new head coach by the name of Buddy Ryan. In that first year that he was there, he would use Randall mostly in third and long situations. But by the time 1987 rolled around, Randall Cunningham would earn the starting job of the Philadelphia Eagles at quarterback and would never look back. In the 1988 season, Randall Cunningham would go on to play in all 16 games. He would have over 3,800 yards passing, another 600 yards rushing, and 24 touchdowns. Yes, you can see why defensive coordinators didn't quite know how to pursue and how to match up against this dynamic quarterback. In 1988 and 1990, Randall Cunningham was everything that you would want to see in primetime football. Those stats will lead up to him becoming runner-up in both seasons, 88 and 90, as a league MVP. During his career, he also had 12 punts. He would have a 51-yard average, including a 91-yard punt that was very impressive against the New York Giants in the 89 game. And by the time 1990 rolled around, Randall Cunningham would go on to show why he's one of the most dynamic players that the league has ever seen. In that season, he would have over 3,400 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, and 900 yards rushing. At that time, it was second all-time in a single season by a quarterback. From 1990 to 1995, Randall Cunningham will be marred by injuries. But in the 1992 season, Randall Cunningham will find a way to still make some magic. In that 92 season, he would go on and lead the Philadelphia Eagles to their first playoff win in 12 years. But after that 1995 season, he would go on to be benched to a quarterback by the name of Rodney Peete. A year later, he would find himself out of the game. But the 1997 season rolled around, Randall Cunningham would find himself relocating to Minnesota, where he would back up a quarterback by the name of Brad Johnson. Later on that year, though, he would earn a starting spot. In that 1998 season, Randall Cunningham would have career highs himself. Teamed up with a spectacular rookie receiver by the name of Randy Moss, Randall Cunningham would throw for career-high touchdowns, 34 to be exact, over 3,700 yards passing, and yes, a 15-1 record, leading them to an NFC Championship game and an overtime against the Atlanta Falcons, where ultimately the Vikings were to be defeated. And despite leading the Minnesota Vikings to a 15-1 season, having a career-high touchdowns, Mr. Cunningham would still come up short in the league MVP vote. Again, a second runner-up. Seasons 1999 until he ended his career, he would find himself bouncing around. from Dallas Cowboys to 2001, the defending champs of the Baltimore Ravens. Randall Cunningham was a spectacular treat on the football field, and if anybody had a chance to watch his game, then or now you turn on the highlights, you'll be thoroughly impressed. The thing about Randall Cunningham that just really impressed me and touched upon me as a player was he never allowed himself to be considered in a box. Oftentimes, people want to stereotype and put situations on you so they don't have to think that much or even dive deeper into their abilities of pulling out something out of you that you didn't know you had. Randall Cunningham was that for me. On the football field, not only was he an accurate passer with a cannon for an arm, but he had the ability to make pro athletes just miss in space, creating more opportunities for the offense and his team to be in positions to win. He had an elite leg as well. Pinning teams and being schematically very difficult to coach against, he's one of my favorite players because he's so versatile. Now in his retirement, Randall Cunningham came back home to where his alumni is, Las Vegas, Nevada. He has a church here, he's a minister, and as he changed lives, he continued to stay really close with the game of football as well, becoming the Las Vegas Raiders team chaplain. Unbelievable athlete and human being as well. Continually giving back to the community that he lives in, as well as giving motivation to those of us to study the game, figure out just how far ahead he was of the game, 1980s and 1990s, that his name still ranks amongst the best dual threats to ever played a position. Randall Cunningham. If you don't know, check him out.